The Galactic Empire froze in fear. That monster can't be a human warship. The border patrol of the Galactic Empire worked in silence, their sensors always searching the dark. Most days were the same. Quiet, empty, nothing but cold stars and drifting rocks. But this day was different. A strange shadow appeared, moving slowly across the edge of the sector. At first, the operators thought it was an error in the system. They blinked, checked again, and then froze. The shadow was not an error. It was real, and it was enormous. The border commander leaned closer to the display. The object had no Empire code, no registration, no familiar design. It was not a known freighter or a pirate craft. It was something else, something the records did not explain. The commander ordered the scanners to increase their range. Slowly, details came into focus. The ship was massive, larger than any dreadnought the Empire had ever built. It drifted with slow purpose, silent as if the void itself carried it forward. Whispers spread across the patrol station. Soldiers exchanged uneasy glances. They had seen battleships, carriers, even the Emperor's grand flagship, but never a monster like this. Its hull looked dark, strange, covered in plates that bent the light. No insignia marked its surface. No signal came from it. It simply moved forward, silent and steady. The commander sent a transmission to Central Command. His voice trembled as he described what the scanners showed. Central Command at first dismissed his words. "You are exaggerating," the high officer said. "No vessel of that size exists outside the Empire. It must be a sensor ghost." But then the data arrived, the raw scans, the energy readings, the dimensions. Silence followed at the other end. The officer did not speak for a long time. When he finally answered, his voice was low. "Continue tracking. Do not engage." The patrol station obeyed, but fear began to rise among the crew. One whispered, "It looks like a beast hiding in the dark." Another muttered, "No one builds ships like that." Who could it be? Every man and woman in the station felt the same unspoken truth. Whatever it was, it did not belong to the Empire. Hours passed. The strange ship did not change course. It glided across the void, heading deeper toward Empire territory. The commander's hands clenched behind his back as he stared at the moving shadow. He could not shake the feeling that this ship was not lost, not drifting, but watching. It seemed alive, as if it could feel their eyes on it. Across the Empire, more stations began to report the same object. Every description matched. A giant silent warship moving with calm purpose. The Council of Admirals gathered in emergency session. Voices clashed in the Grand Chamber. Some said it was an alien superpower from beyond the known stars. Others claimed it was a weapon built by rebels. None had proof. But all agreed on one thing: it was a threat. The Council ordered fleets to prepare. They could not allow an unknown vessel of that size to cross their borders, yet none of them wanted to be the first to confront it. Something about the silent way it moved shook their courage. Even the admirals, proud and unafraid, felt unease. Meanwhile, the ship continued, ignoring every attempt at contact. Imperial hails were sent in every frequency. No reply came, only silence. It was as if the warship did not consider the Empire worthy of words. At last, one brave captain asked the forbidden question: "What if it belongs to humans?" The Council laughed at first. Humans? A primitive race barely able to defend their own planet? It was impossible. The Empire had studied them long ago and dismissed them as weak, divided, fragile. They had no fleets, no empire, no great weapons. Humans were beneath notice, but the captain did not laugh. He leaned forward and repeated, "Impossible things do not drift into our territory. Look at its design. It is not alien. It is not ours, it is human." The chamber fell silent. No one wanted to admit it, but deep inside they felt the same dread. If the ship truly was human, then humanity had changed in ways the Empire never expected. Back at the border, the strange warship kept moving closer. The crew of the patrol station watched its slow approach. Their hearts beat faster with each passing hour. The void around it seemed darker, heavier, like a storm waiting to break. One soldier whispered the thought none of them wanted to say out loud: "That monster can't be a human warship, can it?" The words hung in the air like a curse. No one answered. They only stared wide-eyed at the silent arrival of something that should not exist, something that would soon change the fate of the entire Galactic Empire. The Empire had seen many threats in its long history. Great alien swarms, rebel uprisings, even rogue admirals with fleets of their own. But never before had it faced a single silent ship that spread so much fear. Across the Empire's channels, rumors moved faster than light. Soldiers in faraway colonies whispered about the shadow in the void. Traders carried tales of a warship so large it swallowed stars. Even civilians who rarely heard military secrets began to speak of it in hushed voices. The Council of Admirals tried to control the story. They declared it false, just border superstition, nothing more than space debris. But the truth was harder to hide. The patrol stations had recordings, raw scans, images, and soundless footage of the massive craft. These files were shared quietly, officer to officer, ship to ship, until no one could deny it. Something was out there, and it was no myth. In the grand halls of the Imperial Palace, the Emperor's closest advisors gathered. Their voices were sharp and full of fear. "It must be alien," one said. "No human can build such a thing." Another shook his head. "Then where's the transmission?" "Aliens always announce themselves." This one stays quiet as if it does not even care. Then a message arrived that silenced the room. An intelligence officer stepped forward and placed a cracked transmission on the table. It was short, damaged by distance, but one word was clear, spoken in a strong human voice. "Human." The chamber froze. For a long time, no one moved, no one spoke. Then whispers began, louder and louder, filling the golden walls of the palace. Impossible. They were primitives. How can it be them? The Emperor raised a hand, silencing all. His voice was deep, calm, but even he could not hide the shadow in his eyes. If it is human, then humanity has hidden its strength well. Too well. The admirals left the meeting with heavy thoughts. Some were angry, saying humanity should be crushed before they revealed more secrets. Others were cautious, fearing that open war with such a power could bring the Empire to its knees. All were unsettled. Far from the palace, in dark cantinas and crowded stations, the whispers grew stranger. "I heard the humans built it from dead stars," one miner said. "No," a trader argued. "They found it buried on their moon." Others swore the ship could appear anywhere without warning, like a phantom in the void. Fear mixed with wild imagination, and the legend of the monster ship grew larger than reality. On the frontier, where soldiers had watched the ship pass silently, fear was not legend. It was real. They had seen it with their own eyes. Some nights they dreamed of its shape blotting out the stars, its silent hull drifting closer, closer, until it swallowed them whole. One young officer asked his commander, "Sir, why does it not answer us? Why no words, no signal?" The commander gave no reply. He simply stared at the dark void as if listening for something only he could hear. At the same time, human worlds remained quiet. No broadcast, no announcements. Earth did not claim the ship, did not deny it. To the Empire, this silence was even more dangerous. If the humans had truly built it, then they were hiding more than just one warship. They were hiding an entire power waiting in the dark. An admiral, frustrated by the Council's endless arguments, finally demanded action. He ordered a small strike fleet to shadow the vessel, to test its strength. "Perhaps it is large but not powerful," he told his crews. "We will prove it is nothing but a hollow shell." His words were brave, but his eyes betrayed doubt. The strike fleet moved out. Dozens of cruisers and destroyers, their engines blazing across the void. They followed the monster ship from a distance, keeping their weapons armed but holding fire. For days the silent giant ignored them, moving as if they did not exist. The crews of the strike fleet grew restless, waiting for a sign, waiting for something. Back in the Empire's heart, the whispers reached a dangerous level. Some began to say openly, "Perhaps the humans are stronger than the Empire." These words were dangerous, punishable by death, but they spread anyway, whispered in secret halls, in dim-lit stations, in the thoughts of every man and woman who had seen the recordings. Fear was not something the Empire allowed. Fear could shatter control, break loyalty, weaken fleets, yet the whispers could not be stopped. The name human was now spoken with dread, like the name of an ancient monster rising from legend. The Council tried to act strong. They prepared speeches, promising that the Empire would protect its citizens, that no outsider could stand against them. But even as they spoke, their eyes betrayed them. They did not believe their own words. One old admiral, scarred from 100 battles, leaned close to his peer and whispered, "If this truly is human, then everything we thought we knew is wrong. We may already be too late." And in the darkness beyond their borders, the silent warship kept moving, unhurried, unstoppable, as if it carried the weight of a whole new future. The strike fleet that shadowed the silent warship grew restless. For days, their cruisers and destroyers followed at a careful distance, their weapons ready. The officers had expected the ship to react, to send warnings, or at least change course. But the giant did nothing. It glided forward like a mountain drifting through the void, silent and uncaring. To the crews, the waiting felt worse than battle. Every hour stretched into forever. Every second they wondered if the monster would finally turn and strike. On the flagship of the fleet, Captain Seiron stood with his hands behind his back, staring at the viewscreen. The strange vessel filled the display. Its size was beyond belief. He had fought in wars before against fleets twice his own, but this was different. He could not fight a mountain. He could only watch. "Sir," his second officer whispered. "Orders from high command. We are to test its response." Seiron closed his eyes. He had known this would come. The admirals back home, safe in their golden chambers, wanted proof. They wanted to see if the monster ship was truly dangerous or if fear had simply made it appear so. The only way to know was to provoke it. The captain gave the order. One destroyer moved closer, charging its forward cannons. The Empire's crews were disciplined, trained to face death without flinching. But even they hesitated as they aimed their weapons at the black hull. Sweat ran down their necks and their hearts beat faster. "Fire," Seiron commanded. A blast of light shot across the void and struck the silent giant. For a moment, nothing happened. The crew dared to hope. The beam left only a faint ripple on the strange armor. Like a stone thrown into deep water, the monster ship did not reply. It did not even slow. Nervous laughter spread across the strike fleet. "It's nothing," one officer cried. "Just a hollow shell." For a moment, courage returned. Perhaps it was not the threat they feared. Perhaps the humans, or whoever built it, had made nothing more than a scarecrow in space. But then the giant moved. The black hull lit with faint lines of energy, glowing like veins of fire. A soundless wave spread across the void. It was not noise, but the ships felt it as if the vacuum itself had shivered. The monster warship turned, slow and deliberate until its massive guns aligned with the destroyer that had fired. Before anyone could react, a single pulse of light left the Titan-class cannon. It was not loud. It was not dramatic. It was simple, clean, and final. The Imperial destroyer vanished. One instant it existed, shields raised, weapons armed. The next it was nothing but dust and silence. Not wreckage, not debris, just gone, erased in a single breath. The strike fleet froze. Every officer, every soldier, every admiral watching the feed back home sat in stunned silence. A single shot. A single ship. A single instant. And an entire destroyer was no more. Captain Seiron felt his throat tighten. His voice cracked when he whispered, "By the stars." His second officer spoke what they were all thinking. "We cannot fight this," panic rippled through the crews. Some officers begged to retreat. Others wanted to fire everything at once to drown the monster in light and missiles. Seiron gave no order. He could not move, could not think. The truth was already clear. The Empire's weapons meant nothing here. The monster ship did not fire again. It returned to silence, drifting forward as if the encounter had been no more than a passing thought. To it, the Empire's strike fleet was not an enemy. It was nothing. Back in the core worlds, the admirals watched the recordings with pale faces. The room was filled with silence, broken only by the crackle of the destroyed destroyer's last transmission. Shields collapsing, then static. An admiral slammed his fist on the table. "This is impossible. No weapon has such power. No ship is so large, so strong." His words rang hollow. Everyone had seen it. Everyone had felt the truth. The Emperor himself watched the recording in his private chamber. He said nothing. His face was stone, but his eyes burned with something dangerous, fear. For the first time in centuries, the Empire had seen a power it could not crush. And still whispers spread faster than orders. Soldiers spoke of the destroyer's end in every barracks. Civilians repeated the story in every market. They called it the Titan. They called it the ghost of Earth. They called it the end of empires. The strike fleet limped back, their courage broken, their silence louder than any words. They had faced the monster and they had lived only because it chose not to destroy them all. One young officer asked the question none could answer. If this is just one ship, how many more do the humans have? And somewhere in the dark, the Titan moved onward, alone but unstoppable, leaving only fear in its wake. The Empire had always believed in its strength. For centuries, its fleet stretched across thousands of worlds. Its banners flew over stars and colonies. No rebellion, no alien fleet, no outsider had ever truly shaken its rule. But now everything was different. One ship had changed the story. One ship had turned pride into fear. The destruction of the Imperial destroyer spread across the Empire like fire in dry fields. It began as whispers among soldiers, then became rumors in markets, then grew into fearful songs sung in hidden taverns. Everyone knew. Everyone spoke of it. And the more they spoke, the larger the shadow of the Titan became. On distant colonies, farmers asked if the ship would appear above their skies. In crowded stations, traders refused to travel near the borders. Merchants demanded extra guards, saying the silent giant might strike without warning. Even smugglers, who feared nothing, changed their routes to avoid the region. In military academies, cadets once taught to laugh at the weakness of humans now sat in silence, staring at the reports. One asked his instructor, "Sir, if humans can build this, what else are they hiding?" The instructor had no answer. He only closed the report and whispered, "Pray we do not find out." The Council of Admirals worked day and night. Some shouted for war. "Destroy Earth before they rise further." Others begged for caution. "If this ship is only one of many, we will not survive an open war." Their voices clashed, but no decision came. For the first time in memory, the Empire could not agree on how to act. Meanwhile, the people were no longer loyal in their hearts. Fear is stronger than orders, and fear now belonged to the humans. Citizens began to question their leaders. Soldiers began to question their missions. If one human ship could erase a destroyer in a single strike, what chance did any of them have? The Emperor tried to hold the center. He appeared before the people in a great speech, his robe shining, his voice steady. He promised that the Empire was still strong, that no outsider could break their power. His words echoed across every screen, every world. But when the speech ended, there was no cheer, only silence. The people no longer believed. In the shadows, secret groups began to form. Some whispered of rebellion, saying the humans could be allies against the Empire's cruelty. Others prayed to the Titan as if it were a god, a savior that had come from the stars to punish the Empire's pride. The monster ship became legend before it had even fired a second shot. On the front lines, soldiers grew restless. Every time their ships entered the void, they scanned for the Titan. Every shadow, every signal made them jump. Some refused to serve in border patrols. Others deserted, vanishing into the far colonies. Fear had broken the Empire's discipline, something no enemy had ever achieved before. In the Admiral's secret chambers, darker truths were spoken. They had studied the recordings again and again. The energy readings of the Titan's weapon did not match any known technology. It was something new, something impossible. "We cannot defend against it," one admiral admitted. "Not with shields, not with armor. Nothing we have matters." The others sat in silence, knowing he spoke the truth. One young admiral finally said what they all feared. "If humans can build even one of these ships, the balance of the galaxy has already changed." The council broke apart without decisions. The Empire was no longer united. Some worlds demanded peace talks. Others demanded total war. The Emperor himself gave no answer. He had seen the Titan's power with his own eyes. And though he spoke of victory, inside he wondered if even his throne was safe. The fear spread not only through soldiers and citizens, but through the minds of children. In nurseries and schools, they whispered tales of the black monster that swallowed ships whole. They drew pictures of it on walls, stories of a silent ship that drifted closer every night. Parents tried to calm them, but they too feared the same thing. In every corner of the Empire, the question grew louder. Why had the humans stayed silent for so long? And why had they chosen this moment to reveal such power? On the patrol stations closest to the border, officers looked into the void every night, waiting. Some prayed they would never see the Titan again. Others prayed it would return soon to end their fear quickly. The silence was worse than war, and still the monster ship moved forward. It did not rush. It did not hide. It simply glided across the stars, closer and closer to the heart of the Empire. It carried no banners, no messages, only silence. But that silence was stronger than any army. The Empire had ruled the galaxy with fear. Now fear ruled the Empire. The Titan moved without haste, its enormous frame cutting through the void as if the stars themselves bowed before it. The Empire's fleets, once proud and unshaken, now scattered to avoid its path. Admirals who once spoke boldly of conquest now argued in silence, their eyes haunted. And still, the warship came closer, closer, as though it had chosen the Empire itself as its destination. On the borders, citizens lived with dread. Every day they asked, would this be the day the monster appeared above their skies? Some prayed to the old gods for protection. Others prayed to the Titan itself, begging it to end the Empire's cruelty. Fear no longer came from the Emperor's throne. It came from the shadow that belonged to humans. In the palace, the Emperor grew restless. He demanded answers, but none were given. His spies found no weakness. His admirals gave no plan of victory. The recordings showed the truth. One human ship had erased an Imperial destroyer as if swatting an insect. If that was only a warning shot, what would full war look like? At last the Titan stopped. In the emptiness between stars, it waited. No one knew why. Fleets gathered at a safe distance, keeping their weapons armed, but their voices trembling. No one dared fire again. They had seen what one strike meant. For 3 long days, the monster ship did not move. It hung in the dark like a black sun, silent, patient. Across the Empire, people held their breath. They waited for the first strike, the storm that would burn their worlds. But none came. Then at the dawn of the 4th day, the silence ended. A signal burst through every channel at once. Not only military bands, but civilian, trader, even children's frequencies. Screens flickered in every home, every ship, every station, and on each screen appeared the same thing, a simple human face. He was not dressed like a king or a soldier. He wore no crown, no armor. His voice was calm, his tone steady, but it carried the weight of mountains. We are not here to conquer, he said. We are not here to destroy. But hear this well, Earth will not kneel. Humanity will not be slaves. You came to our world once. You thought we were weak. You thought wrong. Every word struck harder than weapons. The people of the Empire leaned forward, listening, hearts pounding. Some felt anger, some awe, some shame. But none could deny the truth in his eyes. The man continued. This is the Titan. It is not our only ship, but it is the only one you will see. We did not build it to rule your empire. We built it to remind you. If you ever bring your war to Earth again, if you ever touch one human life with your chains, then you will see what true war looks like. You will see your fleets burn and your worlds fall. That is our promise. The signal ended. The screen went dark. But the words did not fade. They repeated in every heart, every whisper, every dream. The Empire had always believed itself unbreakable. Now it had been broken by a single human voice. The Council of Admirals sat in stunned silence. None spoke. Some wanted to laugh at the arrogance of humans, but their laughter caught in their throats. They had seen the Titan. They had seen what one shot could do. If more ships existed, if Earth truly had a fleet, then the Empire's days were numbered. In the streets of the core worlds, people began to chant quietly, not the name of the Emperor, but the word human. It spread like a secret song, a new rhythm of fear and hope. For some, it meant danger. For others, it meant salvation. The Emperor locked himself in his chamber, his hands shaking on the throne. He had ruled by fear his whole life, but now fear had turned against him. The shadow of the Titan loomed over every decision, every breath. Even his most loyal guards whispered when they thought he could not hear. What if the humans are stronger than us? And still in the void, the Titan waited a while longer. It made no move to attack, no move to retreat, as if to show the Empire its choice, submit to peace or test the promise humanity had spoken. At last, the ship turned. Slowly, silently, it began to drift back into the endless dark. No pursuit was ordered. No fleet dared to follow. They only watched as the monster vanished, leaving behind silence and fear. But the Empire was not the same. It could never be the same again. For now, every world, every citizen, every soldier knew one truth. Humanity was no longer weak. They were no longer prey. They had become something far greater, something the galaxy would never forget. And deep in the hearts of those who had seen the Titan with their own eyes, a thought returned again and again, whispered in fear and awe. That monster can't be a human warship. And yet it is.